Samantha Cohen was Meghan's private secretary, and she is now reportedly confirming she was interviewed by the palace about claims it was Meghan who was a behind-the-scenes bully.
That Samantha Cohen accused Meghan and Harry of treating her horribly, that she said that working for them was like working for teenagers.
I do have a source that is a proud member of the Sussex Survivors Club who told me she's still experiencing issues after leaving Meghan's employment. And the way she treated me, she says, of Meghan can only be described as dehumanizing.
Royal Palace employees have finally come forward with serious complaints about how Meghan allegedly treated them during her time as a working royal. The royal staff was terrified of Meghan, and many quit as a result of her bullying.
She pointed out was that Meghan was incredibly ugly when Harry wasn't around. But as soon as Harry was around, and another point they made was the mask slipped after about 6 weeks, that Meghan was like a fairy, like so happy and just full of joy and sweetness. But after about 6 weeks, the mask slipped and they felt like the real Meghan came out to play. And that Meghan typically is ugly when Harry's not around. But if Harry catches Meghan being nasty, he does step in and defend the staff, which I thought was incredibly interesting.
In late 2018, Jason Knuff, who was the communications secretary of Meghan and Harry, filed an internal HR complaint alleging that Meghan's behavior drove 2 personal assistants to quit and gave trauma to some. There were rumors that during a trip to Australia, Meghan got so mad at some of the employees that she threw hot tea over them for not doing their job well enough.
But this is someone who actually bullies her staff to the point of serious mental health crises.
Knauf said he was concerned about a pattern of bullying by Meghan and wanted to protect palace staff. The report claimed that Meghan's treatment of employees left staff reduced to tears. One aide was apparently so shaken before a meeting with Meghan that they told a colleague, "I can't stop shaking."
She also said, you only hear about the professional positions, but the household staff departures are much higher. It actually became quite comical because during a certain period, it felt like every week there was something new, someone new who left. So these numbers we've been reporting for years aren't accurate at all. The turnover is horrible.
The Queen herself tried to teach some manners to Meghan. Here is what happened. Back in 2018, Meghan was apparently losing it over her wedding menu. According to royal expert Katie Nichol, she got into a full-on tense exchange with a caterer because one of the dishes wasn't vegan enough. Meghan said that she could taste chicken in the dish. While she is yelling and tasting bites like she's Gordon Ramsay's long-lost cousin, guess who strolls by? The Queen herself. And Queen doesn't do drama over a dish. She looked at Meghan and said, "In this family, we don't speak to people like that." Imagine Queen herself giving you a lesson on how to talk to people. But I guess even the Queen was not a good enough teacher for Meghan because after she joined the royal family, several staff members left not long after. It was clear something wasn't right behind the scenes. One personal assistant even resigned just 6 months after Meghan's wedding. And that's a big deal. Those jobs are usually seen as a huge honor.
She's a bully. There have been several reports of bullying that she committed while she was working inside the royal family. Several people quit. Over the past few years, 14 people have quit working for her and Harry. That's a lot. One of those bullying victims across the pond is begging the palace to release her from her non-disclosure agreement so that she can tell the world the truth about this woman as this Netflix documentary comes out, undoubtedly bashing the palace.
And then something very suspicious happened. The palace did something rare. They publicly praised the assistant after she left. They never do that unless they're trying to quietly say, "Yeah, we know something happened."
Reports that came out in the press about historical allegations of bullying by Meghan Markle towards staffers when she was living at Kensington Palace. She only really lived in Kensington Palace for a relatively short period between 2017 and then in 2020 they left. So realistically, that's a 3-year period. In that time, several staffers allegedly left the employment of the palace because of Meghan's behaviour.
Even Meghan's top aide didn't stick around for long. So, a senior royal staffer named Samantha Cohen, who had worked with the Queen for 17 years, had to step in. But according to Samantha, she had to step in because they couldn't find a replacement. Nobody else wanted the job, and when they finally did hire someone new, that person joined Meghan and Harry on their 2019 Africa tour. And guess what? That person quit during the trip. This kind of high staff turnover isn't normal, and it clearly shows that something very wrong was going on. And people started noticing that.
I actually have also spoken to a lot of people who knew Meghan and worked with Meghan before she was with Prince Harry. And what's so fascinating is this has always been her way.
According to royal correspondent Valentine Lowe, things got especially tense during Meghan and Harry's 2018 South Pacific tour. One major incident happened at a market in Fiji. Meghan was supposed to attend a public engagement, but she left after just a few minutes. Why? The palace said it was for security reasons, but insiders told a different story. Sources claimed Meghan got upset because UN Women was involved. For those who don't know, UN Women is an organization that Meghan wanted to be an ambassador for, but she got rejected and didn't get the role. So, when she saw UN Women being present at a market in Fiji, she became furious. So, she turned and hissed at her aide. That same aide was reportedly seen crying in a car shortly after.
Once, when Meghan felt she had been let down over an issue that was worrying her, she rang repeatedly when a staffer was out for dinner on Friday night. Quote, every 10 minutes, I had to go outside to be screamed at by her and Harry. It was, quote, I can't believe you've done this. You've let me down. What were you thinking?
Incidents like this left staff feeling disrespected and humiliated. In fact, some of Harry and Meghan's own team started jokingly calling themselves the Sussex Survivors Club, like working for them was something you had to get through. Some staffers, according to Lowe's reporting, even used terms like narcissistic sociopath to describe Meghan in private, and said they felt completely played by her. Now, obviously those labels are unverified, but they show just how intense the frustration had become behind palace doors. Staff testimonies speak of Meghan allegedly yelling at or demeaning subordinates, sending barrages of 5 a.m. emails with excessive demands, and behaving in a manner that one employee described as emotional cruelty and manipulation. These accounts suggest an atmosphere where some employees felt undervalued, fearful, and even traumatized.
Meghan was like, oh no, this was just to do with the sensibilities. Like she tried to make out that British people were just really lazy and just couldn't deal with the fact that she was sending emails at 5 a.m. in the morning. But it's like, hello, what about all of your staff in California who are now in rehab? This has been reported by like the Hollywood Reporter and Vanity Fair. These were publications who were behind you.
Buckingham Palace officials were reportedly aware of these staff grievances, but it did not become public until later. Now, believe it or not, but Meghan also has supporters who believe that all these staff complaints were fabricated to kick Meghan out of the palace. So, let me tell you that allegations of bullying-style behavior were not confined to Meghan's palace staff. After Meghan and Harry stepped back from royal duties in 2020 and moved to North America, they continued hiring staff for their personal ventures, Meghan's Spotify project. Staff members working on her projects, like the Archetypes podcast, said that her leadership style was so horrible that some staff ended up in therapy, while others had to take extended time off just to recover. I've heard of bad bosses before, but needing therapy because of your boss, that's a whole new level of toxic. One former colleague joined the project full of hope and admiration, but left feeling completely drained. When asked why they quit, the answer was, I left because I couldn't live with myself anymore. That's not just burnout. That's someone walking away because they felt like staying would mean compromising who they were. At this point, it's hard to ignore the pattern. Different country, different project, same complaints, fear, burnout, and emotional exhaustion. Whether it was palace aides or podcast producers, the story doesn't really change, only the setting does. The royal staff may have stayed silent for years, but their stories are now painting a picture that's impossible to unsee. And if even half of these accounts are true, Meghan didn't just walk away from the monarchy, she left behind a trail of broken people who never signed up to be her emotional punching bag. So you tell me, when the same accusations keep following someone, can we really keep calling it a coincidence? Thanks for watching. Please hit the like button and make sure to check out my next video.